Hello guys, and welcome to Kentucky Home Garage. Today I'm working on my 2004 BMW X5, and as you can see, my brake line is leaking. So my plan is to replace the segment from this brake line. I have a 3/16 brake line, so I'm gonna cut segment out that has a pinhole in it, and I'm gonna replace it with you can see it leaks right there, with another. I'm gonna use a let's see, right there. It's the place where the leaks. It seems like it was right inside this bracket, and I don't know, for some reason it leaked out. So anyway, I'm gonna use a 3/16 brake line, and we're gonna make some flare fitting and put it back together. So my first step is gonna be my tubing is a 20-inch piece, so I cut the piece of the wire, the 20-inch long. So I have found a good spot that I'm gonna start with, and now I'm just gonna, it's right here, so I'm just gonna follow my my brake line with my I make the mark here so you can see. Okay, so I made my mark here, so I'm just gonna follow my wire and like that, and go over here, and I made a mark right there. So let's see, let's see, it's right in here. Please, hold on a second, guys. Okay, so right in here I'm gonna make a cut. So this is gonna be the first step. I'm gonna remove this line that's has a hole in it, and then I'm gonna bend my tubing, my new brake line. I got a line removed from all these brackets. I don't have a small cutter. I have one, but it's not gonna be able to cut this small of a tubing. So I'm just gonna pull this down and get my cutter in a position, and hopefully I might be able to cut it. I may have to start on another side. Maybe, let's see. Let's see where my line is. Okay, right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut this side. Still, it's not really sure. Okay. This is just not good tool for this. I don't have a small cutter. There you go. This will work now. Okay, one end, and on this side. Don't find my mark again. There you go, right here. Okay, this should be a little easier. My brake fluid leaked out over the night, so I'll have to bleed my system completely, but that's okay. Alright, so let's bend this line. Let's see what we got. Okay, so I got this tool rented at AutoZone. It's a tool bender. Let me get this. And this is my straight line that I'm gonna replace my tubing with. And I got the original tubing actually on the. You have like a. This is not a way of doing it, but I'm just trying to see if it's gonna work or not. So I'm just gonna try to follow now, and if I see if I can make the. If I can bend my line just by following the okay, that's close enough. So this is one bend. Alright, so if I measure correctly, I mean I should be pretty close where I need to be. So let's get, let me just bend, let's see here. I gotta go the other way. I'm not, actually I'm just going to use this. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to use this bender now. This should be close enough, I believe, to what I need to do. So let's see. Just a little bit. Let's see how far I'm off. Still not too far on this end, looks like. That's pretty close there. I may just cut the line a little bit on the car. I think it'll be fine. I'll take a look. I think it'll be fine. This will be okay. Just a little bit longer, but I think it'll work. I'm happy with the angle that I got here. So. Okay, guys. Well, I did end up cutting my tubing just a little bit, maybe like a half an inch or so. I think it'll work. So anyway, now to make my flare on my on this side, I'm gonna use this tool. I just picked it up today at Advance. It was on sale. And it's believe it or not made in the United States, and just Kelvin tools, whatever. This tool is discontinued. It's no longer available, but basically contains this little pack here. This is where the tubing is gonna. This is like a little vise, and has the this little, the button that's gonna push against the tubing to make your flare, and it has this piece is gonna go over our pack once we assemble everything, and then we screw that in, and it's gonna press the our brake line and make our flare. So the first step we're gonna do, I'm gonna take the burring tool, and you can just use whatever you got, like a screwdriver or something. So I'm just gonna clean up inside of my brake line like that. And now I like to use this is like a 2000 grit sandpaper, very fine paper. I'm just going to polish the edges a little bit. Make sure I don't have any burr around. You probably can use a little bit, maybe a 200-300 grit sandpaper, but this is what I had in the drawer, so this is what I'm going to use. So this is going to end up with something like this. Okay, now next step, very important, don't forget to put your, since once you start making your flare, it's going to be too late. So this is your next step. So this is a flare nut, goes over the threads, gonna face your outside of your end of your tubing. So we're gonna slide that over. Okay, now the next, I'm gonna take this little vise, I'm gonna slide it over my line like that, and it takes T30 Torx wrench. I'm gonna just tighten a little bit. It's got 2 screws in here. I'm gonna tighten it down, and just enough. So I still want to move it. I need to set my depth here. How much actually I want to protrude this line to make a flare. And it's like pretty much like a normal flare tool that you can have. It's this button here that has a line how far you want your tubing to stick out. So you just kind of measure that, and like so, and that should do it. I'm gonna tighten my vise. And a little bit, you don't want to tighten one end. You just want to do one by a little bit on each side until you just a hand tight. You don't have to kill it. And okay. All right. So let's go now. I like to use a little bit of lubricating oil. I'm just gonna put on the threads here. And now the next step, I got to put lubricating oil on my button as well, so I'm going to slide this over my tubing like so, and then I'm going to put this guy over. Now make sure you pull this back, this centerpiece, so this can slide over. Okay. Alright, so now I'm in a 22 millimeter wrench, and this is a 15 millimeter socket. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to screw this all the way in. Okay, nice and snug. Alright, I'm going to take everything out. So this is the first step. Now you take your button out. You have to use the pliers. Just be careful, don't damage this. Just it should come out easy. Okay, pull that out. Now you want to put this back in, and this is going to make your second part of your has basically cone shape pusher in here, and I'm going to slide it over again. I like this tool a lot. Actually works really good. So again, get your wrench and your socket. And get this hand tight first. Alright. Okay. Take everything out. Sorry about the light. Okay, let's see what we got. I'll take my torch, take my vise off. Now you have to unscrew it a little bit more because now you have your flare made on your line. Just separate your stupid. I'm gonna unscrew it a little bit more. And it comes apart. Okay. That's what we got. Right there is your flare. Now I'm gonna take my 2000 grit sandpaper again, and I like to polish the edges of my make sure them. I want to take a little bit of brake cleaner and clean it up. Okay. Slide my nut. Alright. Looks pretty good. That's what we got. So now I'm gonna do the same thing on another end, and we're gonna put our brake line together and bleed the system and see what happens. Alright guys, I got my other side done, so now I'm just gonna get my tubing, get my light in place, like that, and I'll put it together. So it's my one connector here. Let's do the hand tight first. Okay, got my wrenches ready, and let's see it. Okay, good. All right. Nice and snug. This side. Alright. So now I need to actually look at the angle of my tubing, and have to make sure it's I'll mess myself up here. So I need to go like this. That should be fine. Yeah, see that? Okay, good. So I'm gonna keep this line. It doesn't move on me. Okay. Alright, that should do it. I was very impressed with that little tool. I'm gonna try to find the link. Maybe find one on Amazon, and I'm going to leave the link in my description if I can. The guy at Advanced told me that that tool was discontinued. I'm not sure why, because it really works pretty good. So so let's go to let's see here. Okay, there you go. This way. Light, just keep rolling. Okay, so now I just pretty much the same process. You just put your wrench over and let's see here. Tighten it down. So basically you hold it hold it like this and you tight each of your lines. Okay. Do the same on this side now. Okay. Alright. That's it. So I'm gonna actually I'm probably gonna replace another line because it's seems to be it's pretty rusted out as well, so might as well do it both now than later. So once I get all that done, I'll show you guys the final result, what it look like. Okay guys, I'm done. This is the final. This is what it looks like. It's nice repair. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't do this all the time, but this is another fitting, and there's the fourth one, the last one. Yeah. And no leaks. I got my brakes already. I fill up my master cylinder and bled the brakes and all that. It's holding pretty good so far, so I'm happy. Okay guys, so that was a good repair. I'm very pleased. Saved a lot of money. So I'm gonna show you guys again how to use this. This is a little bit similar to a video that I watched with Eric the car guy. He used a unit from Eastwood, I believe it was. It's kind of similar to this one, but this one is, I think that was like 40 bucks. This one is like 29, 30, something like that. So it really works well. You just be a little bit patient with it. Let me zoom you in here. Okay, good. Let's get this done here. Okay, that should work. So the first step, when once you cut your line, to make sure you get it nice and clean, you can use a little file just to kind of deburr your edges and your I don't really you don't have to kill it, but just get all the burrs off of it. And I use my sandpaper, and I will get everything cleaned up. One thing that I don't like about this tool is this Torx screws, and it's kind of annoying. I may actually change these just to regular screws, bolts, but that's not too bad. So now when you slide your line in there, and now you take this this little button and you measure. Let me see if I go this way. So this is the first edge. This is how far you want your line to protrude. So you line it up like this, and what I did, now I'm pushing my line to the side a little bit, so that little tension on it, and you get your sorry. But actually it worked very well underneath the car. I was really worried, you know, if I have an old-fashioned flare tool kit, something like this. And it really, I mean, it would work, I guess, but it's kind of awkward when you work under the car. So you check your clearance again, and you can see it's nice and flush with this edge of the button. So now, one thing that I want to point to: don't get shy with this. You get it tight, because what could happen is that when you start putting this part on, if it's not tight enough, this thread's going to get stretched out a little bit, and you're going to have a hard time to get this in a good position. So now you got this in the way you want it, and I'm just going to get my spray just a little bit of a lubricant on it, not much, and now you slide your button down. Now it's a little tricky. You know, now it's not, it's easy to do it when you're on the Y's, but when you're underneath the car and you know, if it's kind of shifted to the side or whatever, you know, you just have to kind of work this in and hold it. What I've seen, don't when it's time to once you put the button on, don't unscrew this all the way, because there's going to be too much play in between this pusher and the button, and your button actually can fly out if you're working like upside down underneath the car. So go like a halfway, and it will catch this quicker. So the next step, so just kind of get this gently down, and I had a couple times I had a trouble. It would not. I had to go left and right a little bit to get it to where it needs to go. There you go. Now just do this part you do by hand. You know, you don't use the wrench because you're going to cross thread. This is a crucial part here. Don't use a wrench. Just by hand, snug it down. That's all you need to do. Now you screw this down, and then just take the 22mm wrench. Actually, don't even need a wrench, but all you gotta need is just this guy, and you will need your wrench when if you're not in Y's. You know, when you're underneath the car, you want to hold this with a wrench. So, and you just keep going until it stops, basically. Keep going. Okay, it's right there. So now just get it loose, and so you unscrew this part, and you take this pusher out with a button, and now this is the second part of the double flare. Now this cone's gonna push into the end of the tubing to make your flare. So again, just gently. This can really cross thread if you're not careful. So just by hand, see, it goes easy. So you just have to get a feel for it. And now just screw it all the way down, and take your socket and just. That's it. Okay. Take it off. You gotta loosen this pack. There you go. Now I like to take this 2000 grit sandpaper again, just to polish my edges again. And this is it. This is your final product. This is the way it looks. Looks pretty good. I'm happy. Alright, so just make sure to lubricate it, you know, every time you use it. And it really is a nice little unit when you work under the car. You know, it can be, you know, this is very nice. It's small, you know, you can get in a tight spaces, so it works very well. So alright. Okay guys, that was a fun project. I enjoy doing it. My wife's gonna be happy. I fixed her car, so that's it. Well, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.